Hi, my name is Jason Matthew from WeCanEduTech, and today I'm going to show you how to create knowledge checks in Articulate Rise 360. So let's get straight into it, guys. So right now I am in my Rise 360 account, and if you've been following the series of videos, I am building out the Biochem 101 course. So I'm going to click on Biochem 101. And today I'm going to go into the animal cell lesson. So I'll click on that and then I'll click edit content. And so I'm in the animal cell lesson. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a knowledge check. Now there are a few ways in which I can add the knowledge check. I could scroll to the bottom, and at the bottom there is the block shortcut toolbar, and I can click on all blocks. When I click on all blocks, the option for knowledge check comes up. Now, if I did not want to add the knowledge check at the end of all the things I already have, I can, let me close this off. I can go at any point. So like, let's say I wanted it at the top of the lesson. I can click the plus icon there. Or if I want it between these two bodies of text, there's a plus icon there. When I click on the plus, it also gives me the option to add a knowledge check. These knowledge checks we are creating in Rise are ungraded. We are using the knowledge checks as a type of formative assessment where we are giving learners an opportunity to check their knowledge without any negative consequence if they get it wrong. Later on in the video, we will look at creating quizzes that can be graded. So I'm going to click on knowledge check. And there are 4 different types of knowledge checks you can choose from. There's the multiple choice, multiple response, fill in the blank, and matching. So we are going to look at the first one, which is the multiple choice. So I choose multiple choice, click on it, and then I click into the main space where the multiple choice placeholder is added. Now, as you can see, you have to enter your question, and then there's the option of 2 choices. So to edit this multiple choice question more, I click on the edit button, which is on the left-hand side. So I click edit. Okay, so the first option I have there is question type. And remember, it's a multiple choice question I want to do. But let's say I change my mind. I can always click on the drop down arrow on the right here, and I can choose the different types of questions that Rise has it. But we're doing a multiple choice first of all. So I'm going to click on multiple choice. And then in the next field there is asking me to enter the question. So I highlight the enter question title here. I highlight those words, and I'm going to put in the question that I want. Alright, so I've entered the question. If I wanted, I also have the option to add an image or video file. So I can click on the camera icon, and there I can upload an image from my computer, or I can use an image from the content library, or I can even embed a link from the web like a YouTube video or an image from the web. So these are the different options. But for today, I'm going to keep it simple. It's going to ask a question without any images. Now I go to the other part of it where it's asking me to give choices. So I'm going to put, for the first choice, again, highlight the words choice 1, click on delete to remove it, and then put in the option that you want. So for the first one, I'm going to put is ribosome. For the second option, nucleus. For the third option, I'm going to add mitochondrion. Now, as you can see, as soon as I enter the third option, they gave me another space to put another option. So I could keep adding as much options as I want. Now, if I want to delete an option, there's also on the right-hand side where I can click on the trash can and delete an option. Now, the other important thing is that this is an MCQ, so there should only be one correct answer, and you need to indicate which one is the correct answer. Now, for this question, the correct answer is nucleus. So I'm going to select nucleus. So you see that dot there means that the nucleus, it's telling Rise that nucleus is the correct answer. Now Rise gives you some really cool ways in which you can give feedback. So if I click on the drop down arrow here next to any response, you see there are 3 ways in which I can give feedback. The first option is any response, and it means that whatever feedback I type in there, whatever the learner chooses, they're going to get that feedback. Then there's the correct and incorrect responses. So it means that you will give feedback. So I could let's choose and see how it looks. So you see there, it gives you feedback. You can enter feedback when the learner chooses the correct answer, or you could give feedback when the learner chooses the incorrect answer. And then the final option is by choice. So it means that if I click by choice, it means I can enter feedback for each one of these, which is the one that I love to do because it really builds in that formative assessment in there, and it helps the learner know why they're getting this answer wrong. So I'm going to add feedback for each one of these options now. And that means that when the learner chooses that option, the Rise is going to give them this feedback for that answer, for that choice that they have made. Okay, so I've entered feedback for each one of these different options. So I can click out and see how it looks. So this is how the question is going to look. Let's click on preview to see what the learner sees. So I click on preview. And as you can see, there's the question. Which organelle controls and regulates the activities of the cell? Let's say the learner chose ribosome, and then they click submit. So you see it says incorrect, and then it tells you ribosome is used for protein synthesis. So right away the learner is like, oh right, ribosome is for protein synthesis. And if they want, they can take the question again and try again. And let's say they choose the correct answer this round, nucleus, and they click submit. They get the feedback. Excellent job. You know your stuff. So this is a great way to, get your learners engaged in the material. And it's also a great way for them to check that they are understanding the material. So let's return to editing again. So click on the edit. And now we are back to the lesson where we can add other knowledge blocks. So I'm going to click on the plus right at the top here. So that means that the new knowledge block I'm adding is going to go right at the top of the lesson. So I click on the plus and then I click on knowledge check. And I'm going to do the second one now, which is the multiple response type of question. So I click on it to choose it, and then I click out in the general space there, and there's the placeholder multiple response question. Now in this type of question, there is more than one correct answer. So I go to the left hand side and I click on the edit button to edit the question. So once again, you have the question type, multiple response, and if you made a mistake and you wanted to do a different type of question, you just have to click on the drop down arrow and choose from the 4 options there. But we want a multiple response question in this example. And then under question, you highlight the enter question title here, placeholder text, and you enter the question that you want. So what I like to do for multiple response questions is that when I type out the question, I also put in brackets more than one answer. So it hints to the learner that there's more than one correct choice. So it's not just a single answer MCQ, this is a multiple response answer. And once again, you can click on the camera icon to upload an image from your computer or from the content library, or you can embed a link from the web. And now I'm going to give the different options. So you highlight choice 1 and you type in, well in this case I'm going to type in nucleus. For choice 2, I'm going to type in ribosome. And for choice 3, I'm going to type in mitochondrion. Now I don't have a choice 4, so I can delete choice 4. And remember, there are more than one correct answer. And for this question, the correct answers are nucleus and mitochondrion. So I'm going to put a check mark next to mitochondrion. So this tells Rise that the learner has to give nucleus and mitochondrion as the correct options. Once again, you can you can give feedback. So you have the options of any response. So if the learner chooses any of these responses, what feedback you want to give, or the other way in which you can do it is that you can give feedback for a correct response and an incorrect response. So now I'm going to click in the main space to see how that questions look like. And I can click on preview to see what the learner sees. So when the learner starts this lesson, there's this question here: which organelles contain DNA? And if he chooses, let's say, ribosome and mitochondria, and let's see, submit. So what it says is that, hey, you got one correct, but ribosome is wrong. It's really nucleus and mitochondria are the right answers. And if this had come with feedback, then he would have gotten that feedback as well. So I'm going to edit again. Now this time, let's do fill in the blank. So I'm going to click on the plus. It's going to bring up the knowledge check. And this one, I'm going to choose fill in the blank. I'm going to click outside. So here's the placeholder question. I can click on edit on the left-hand side. And it's a fill in the blank. You could always change the type by clicking the drop-down menu. And now I'm going to highlight this placeholder text. And I'm going to enter my question here. Now, with the fill in the blank, wherever you want to put the blank space, what I would recommend is that you use 5 underscores on your keyboard to represent the blank space. So like for my question, I'm going to put the blank space at the beginning. So I'm going to type in 5 underscores. And then I'm going to type in the text. And once again, you have the option to add images, add media. And now for the fill in the text, you have where you can put the answer. So the answer here is the nucleus. And you can choose whether you want it to be case sensitive or not. So you have another field here where it says add another acceptable answer. So some people might put nucleus, some people might put the nucleus. And then it will prompt you again for another option if you want. So you could continue writing different combinations of the right answer until you think you're happy with that. For this example, I'm just going to put nucleus, the nucleus. Now, one of the things I should point out is that this is one of my least used or favorite knowledge check options, simply because the software isn't sophisticated enough to detect all possible options. So like for instance, like if the person spells it incorrectly, or if the learner puts it in a different way, that learner might be correct, but because the learner didn't provide the exact wording and spelling as what you provided, the learner will get it incorrect. So something just to keep in mind of that the learner will have to give the exact answer that you have provided to get the question correct. And as usual, you can give feedback. So you can give any response, or you can give feedback specifically for a correct response versus an incorrect response. All right, so we could just quickly click out of it and we can do a preview just to see how it looks. And what will happen is that the learner will see the question, and then the learner will have to type the answer for what they think should be in that blank space. So if I put nucleus and I click submit, it tells me it's correct, and it also tells me what the acceptable responses were. Now let's take it again. Let me just show you, like if I put nuclei, for instance, and I click submit, it tells me it's incorrect. Although if it was a written exam, you'll probably give that learner that correct, because he just gave the plural form of nucleus. So that's fine. All right, so let's go back to the lesson. Let's click on edit. Now we are back in the lesson. And let's do the final type of knowledge check that RISE provides. So let's click on the plus. We go to knowledge check and we choose this, in this case, matching. So once you choose matching, you click on the space just as with the other questions. You click on edit, question type, matching, that's the one we want. We highlight the placeholder text for the question and we type in the question, the actual question that we have. Okay, so my question is, please match the correct organelle with its function. And I could add an image by clicking on the camera icon once again. Because it's just an example, I'm going to keep it simple. And now I have to give the different matches that I want. So I'm going to type in the choices and what matches it. So just remember, when you're doing the matching type question, you put the choices and you put the correct matches with them in that same row. Now, if you want to remove one of the choices, you just need to click on the trash can icon there, and that will remove that whole entire row. And as you add new options, the Rise is going to give you the option to give more options. So you could just keep filling out. So the amount of choices will just keep increasing. For me, for this question, I'm just going to give 3 choices to match. So those are already given. And as usual, you can give feedback for your question type. So now I'm going to click on the main space. And as you can see, these are the options here. Now let's see how the learner is going to see it. So I'm going to click on the preview button. Now, the first time I preview it, it's giving me all the correct options. So let me just put that there. But what I'll tell you is that with Rise is going to randomize this thing when it gives it to the learner. So let's take the question again, and you'll see how it looks when the learner gets it. It's not lined up with the proper answer. So let's see. Nucleus goes here. And let's say I take ribosome and I just drag it across the ATP production, which is incorrect. And I take mitochondria and drag it across to protein synthesis. Now, if I click submit, it tells me that I got nucleus correct, but ribosome is wrong and mitochondria is wrong. And ribosome, they're saying, should go with the match with 1, and mitochondria should go with the match in the third one, ATP production. So that's just feedback that Rise is giving. All right, so let's click on edit and return to the actual lesson with the questions. And I want to show you one more thing. So this was the question that we created that was a multiple response question. And if I click on edit, now one of the things that you can do is that if you change your mind, you want to convert the multiple response question to just a simple multiple choice where there's only one right answer, you can just click the drop down menu, choose multiple choice, and then choose which one of these is the correct answer. So that's if you want to change up the question a little bit. I'm going to keep it as a multiple response because the way how the question is phrased, there are 2 correct choices there, so I can leave it like that. All right, so let's go back to the preview again. And so this is how it looks. The learner is going to see it when they look on their desktop, on their computer, and so on. So this is how it looks on the desktop, on the computer, and so on. Now let's look and see how it looks on the tablet. So this is how it looks on the tablet. So it's pretty good. Again, responsive design. All right, so let's see. So the learner just has to drag, click submit, gets the feedback. He can type his answer here, submit, gets feedback there, and it continues. So it works the same way as if they were using a desktop. Let's see how it looks on the mobile, which more learners are using these days, and it's the trickiest one to get right. But as you can see, the responsive design in Rise is really good, and it looks really good even on the mobile phone. So which organelle contain DNA? More than one answer. Let's get the correct ones this time. Nucleus, mitochondria, and submit. And boom, there you go. So you see that from the preview side of things, it looks really excellent on whatever device the learner chooses. So I'm going to click on edit to go back to the lessons again. And in fact, what I'll do is I'll return to the entire lesson Biochem 101. And the reason why I'm here now is that we're going to talk about graded quizzes. So far, we have looked at knowledge checks that we can have within a lesson. But if you want to have an actual quiz, you can have that as well. So let's say after you finish the module, the cell, you want to have a quiz. I can just put, so I'm going to type in as my title, the cell quiz. And then I click enter. And once I click enter, I get the option now to add content for the cell quiz. Now, if I click add content, if you've been following the other videos, we normally tend to add lessons. But today, because we're doing our graded quiz, we're going to click quiz. So you see here, it has the cell quiz, and then you can describe your quiz. So here's where I will put instructions for the quiz. You can say, how many questions the quiz is made up of, and how many marks is for the quiz, and so on. So you can give those kind of details in this piece here in the description. Now, by default, Rise will give you 2 questions in a quiz. So if I click on the first one, it's a multiple choice. And if you click the second question, it's a multiple response type of question. Now, if it's just one question you want for the quiz, you can delete the second one by clicking on the trash can icon. As you can see, it's removed. Now, on the flip side, if you want to add more questions, you can click on the button at the below here where it says add question. And once again, you have the 4 different types of questions that we were going through in the knowledge checks, and it's the same kind of setup. So you could choose a multiple choice question again, or you could choose fill in the blank, and so on. And the procedure for setting up these questions in the graded quiz is the same as what we did in the knowledge check. So I won't go through it again, but it's the same type of procedure. Now, what's different between the graded quiz and a knowledge check is that if we go in the top right here and we click on settings, we now have settings for the quiz. So you can change the passing score. So by default it's 80%, but you could change it to whatever number you want. So you just highlight the number, the digits, and you could put whatever number there you want. Now the next option is that require passing score to continue, meaning that they must pass the exam or pass the graded quiz, and in this case 100%. So it means that they have to get everything correct in the quiz before they can move on to the next section of the learning module. So you could choose that option there. Now for the quiz retries, again by default it's unlimited. It means that the learner at this setting can redo the quiz unlimited number of times until they get everything right. So that's the way you want to go, and you're going down the road of mastery. This is how you want to set it up. Or if you just want the learner to do it once, then you click on none. Or if you want the learner to have one retry, so they do it one time and then they do it again, you can click on 1. So these are some of the different options. Then you could increase the number up to from 10 and then go to unlimited. Now, if you set it up by saying that it must require passing score to continue, then there's a continue button style. So it could be like standard next lesson, or you could just say continue as the button. Now you get some interesting question options. You can randomize the question order. So you set up the questions in Rise, and then when the learner tries to do the quiz, Rise is going to change the order of questions. So it means that, let's say 2 learners are doing the same quiz. One learner's question 1 will not be the same question 1 for the other learner. They're going to mix up the order in which the questions are presented to the learner. And also you could shuffle answer choices, and then you can also reveal the answers after each response. Or if you toggle it as off, then that they will not see the answers. So these are just some of the options if you do a graded quiz. But my recommendation would be that you leave quizzes, like graded quizzes, for your LMS. Because you see, your LMS will provide more robust options to carry out graded assessments. So you really don't want to do graded assessments on Rise. At least that's my advice to you. Because first of all, the integration between Rise modules and the LMS gradebook sometimes does not work. And as I said before, you get more robust options if you go directly to your LMS and set up the quiz there. So that'll be my recommendation. Use the knowledge checks as formative assessment in the RISE module, just for the learner to as checks so that the learner knows they are on the right path. But for grades and stuff, RISE mightn't be the best option. Just do those kind of activities directly in the learning management system. So please visit our WeCanEduTech channel to view our other videos on RISE 360 and other educational technologies. Please support us by liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Thank you for viewing. Stay safe. Talk to you soon. Bye.